welcome. There's a whole lot of us on this call, so that's just wonderful. It is a great time to build your brand and build your LinkedIn profile. This is a great time to get your everything together for the next phase in your career. So I'm Kara Mitnick. I'm the Director of Professional Development at the Graduate School. And I'm with Audra Lavoie, who you just met. She is our Alumni Career Advisor. So if you graduated from URI, or if you will graduate from URI, she will be with us. Our third and really the most esteemed panelist here is Tiara Aduce. I hope I pronounced that correctly, Tiara. And she is the Senior Corporate Recruiter at FM Global, one of the biggest employers in our state. And so we're so delighted. Please say hello.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. We always enjoy partnering with URI. We're excited to bring this event to you today. Congratulations to all the new graduates. This is going to be a great session.
Yes. Thank you, Tiara.
Thank you.
So let's get into it. And we will have time for questions. You can either write them into the chat or we can stop at various points. And certainly we're going to, our plan is today to each spend 10 minutes talking and then open it up to questions. So let's go. Audra, so our learning objectives today are why LinkedIn is a helpful tool for you to know that for job seekers and professional development, to understand how employers use LinkedIn, and Tiara is going to be our expert with that. How to improve your LinkedIn profile to maximize visibility for you on LinkedIn. It is the platform that everybody uses, and how to build your professional network. So that's what we hope to learn today. Next slide. So who uses LinkedIn? Everybody uses LinkedIn. Look at this, 660 million professionals, 30 million companies, 60,000 colleges and alumni, university alumni groups. And that's going to be very fruitful to you. And Audra is going to talk to you about how you use that. 46 million students and recent graduates use it, so it's important that you be one of them. Lots of people from outside the United States, 150 industries, and for executives from every Fortune 500 company and influencers. People always ask me, do I need it? So the short answer is yes. Yes, you do need it. Here's why. LinkedIn is the world's largest professional development network. 20,000 US companies use LinkedIn to recruit. 93% of hiring managers search LinkedIn for recruits. So I think, Tiara, are you one of those 96?
Yes, we are one of them.
I would think so, right? 20 million LinkedIn job postings. Access to industry experts, join industry groups, and you can do a lot more than just connect with it. You can learn from it. You can follow companies so that when you're ready to interview, you're going to know about them. You're going to join industry groups so that you get to know people within your industry and what the issues are. And you can solicit advice. It's also a career management tool that's going to help you network and identify employers and connections. It also allows employers to find you and view your credentials. But the dubious ones among you, and we get these questions, and the reason we are belaboring this is that we really do get the questions, but do I really need it? And so for those of you who are truly going only into academic work to teach as a professor, do you really need it? Maybe not. But if most of you, I think you should have a plan B, right? Especially in this environment. Maybe it's going to be teaching, but maybe it's going to be something outside academia. Yes, you really need it. Why? Number one, it's weird when you don't have it, or the recruiters tell us, so that if even if you submit your resume and your application materials, people will look for you um, online. They will Google you. And the first thing that should come up should not be your high school lacrosse stats. The first thing that should come up should be your LinkedIn profile or the web page from your lab or wherever you are. So um, it's an opportunity to progress in your industry, and are you maximizing your LinkedIn? Tiara, our guest here today, our recruiter. This is Tiara's beautiful LinkedIn page. Can you go back a slide? This is great. Do you feel like this, Tiara, does this represent you?
Yes, I would say so. When I did get the request to attend this event tonight, I did go back in and just make sure I updated some of my information in there. And I think that's something that, once you have a profile, you want to continue to update it and maintain it.
Next slide. You can answer
great questions.
But here's some things. Choose whatever you want. This is what I think you want to know.
Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you for sharing these questions. I think LinkedIn is a very powerful, popular tool. I would highly recommend it. I was looking at some information, and LinkedIn actually started in 2003. As a recruiter, I've been, recruiting for over 20 years, and I joined LinkedIn right around 2006. I would say at this stage, I probably have over 6,000 connections, which is not common. You don't want to have 6,000 connections, but I think, just based off of my role, I do also a lot of global recruiting as well. So I have a really large network. As a tool from a recruiting perspective, there are two different LinkedIn programs. You have your regular LinkedIn, and that is what you are part of. Once you go in there, you can build your network. You might be limited to people that you know, or people that could refer you to other people. LinkedIn Recruiter is a business tool. And it actually is like LinkedIn on steroids. It gives you access to every single profile in LinkedIn. And in talent acquisition, we use it. We have teams of sourcers that utilize LinkedIn as well. And we use it to do proactive searches. We use LinkedIn also for job postings, for marketing, sharing content, company information. But every team member of my talent acquisition team has a recruiter license. We go in there, we set up project plans, and pretty much every time we have an opening, it's posted on LinkedIn. We also sit down with managers to really understand what are some of the skill sets that they're looking for, some of the keywords, some of the certifications, and that's some of the information that we use to build our searches. And we could build project folders, and then we'll start sourcing candidates. And as we have a pool of candidates, we'll start breaking it down a little bit further. And then we'll start reaching out to candidates. And if they're interested, we kind of take them through our typical recruiting process. Oftentimes, a manager will want to be involved as well. They don't have access to the LinkedIn recruiter license. So a lot of times we get together and we'll sit down and we'll go through, various profiles, trying to find the skill sets that they're looking for. So there are eyes on these profiles. And, I describe it as your digital resume. So it's important to have it, I would say, complete, robust. I think sometimes people will maybe tend to hold back and might not update all their skills. You want to make sure that, you have everything listed that you would have on your resume. And if not, maybe, some additional information, make it, I would say, a little bit more personable. If you if you volunteer, that might be something you might want to add on there as well. You don't necessarily have your references on your resume, so sometimes hiring managers, recruiters will look at your recommendations as well. So it's important, I think, to keep it fresh. A lot of times we post our openings and we will get, a lot of resumes, but they might not be exactly what we're looking for, or the manager will want to see maybe more specific skills. And that's really where we go into LinkedIn to do these proactive searches. So we could break it down based on geography, based on skill sets, based on degrees. Even if somebody doesn't have a recruiter license, recruiters are also trained to do Boolean searches. And based off of keywords on your resume, that's how they're going to find you. So if you don't have that information on there, we're not going to be able to find you.
TR, can I build off of that? Because you started talking about something I think is really a big question that we get asked, which is, what can people see? So what can the recruiter see? Which you're saying, I can see everything. The other part is, how do you prioritize? So when you can see everything, is there like your first go-to spot to start trying to narrow down potential candidates?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. So when I say we can see everything, with your LinkedIn membership, you're only able to connect with people in your network. With LinkedIn Recruiter, we have access to every profile. So whether that profile is filled out completely, if it's just bare bones, if it's a name, maybe based on a location, that could possibly come up in a search. But we're just, we're not narrowed down to certain networks. We also use it too for a lot of different associations. If I'm looking for somebody, that's part of that has an MBA here in New England, I might search certain groups to see where those people are. So it's important to really add in a lot of those affiliations as well. And I'm sorry, can you tell me your second question again?
So that was both of mine. The number one being what you're looking for and what can you see, but number two being how do you prioritize. But I do have a question that was typed in, which is, occasionally I'll see that someone viewed my profile in private. Is that somebody such as an HR or recruiter? Why can't I see them?
Oh, that's actually a really good question. You know what? I actually don't have the answer for that, because I think if you have a profile and you look at somebody's profile, they'll be able to see who that was. The only reason I would think that maybe you would not be able to see it is if there's not a close connection, like a second degree connection or a third degree connection, so that information will not appear. But in terms of prioritizing, let's say, for instance, in my role with FM Global, I do a lot of recruiting for our research scientists. And we would typically look for somebody with a PhD, somebody that has maybe a background in hydrology, flood modeling, maybe they have certain tools, they'll have programming, Python. So we'll enter in a lot of those keywords, and based off of those keywords, the profiles that have that most information will come to the top, and then you'll just have to scroll down. And depending on how many keywords you put in there, you might get 5,000 profiles. Sometimes you might only get 30. So sometimes we also use that when a hiring manager is looking for a certain skill set. Let's say here in Providence, Rhode Island, and we could enter in all that information, and we could go back to that hiring manager and educate them that, based off of this geographic area, there's only 10 people. There's some things that we want to maybe, be a little bit more flexible on. Do you want to open up on that search further? Do you want to consider relocation as well?
Tiara, I'm going to play around just for a minute because we're getting some comments about our having feedback in our sound. And I know when I hear you, you're a little echoey. And I think we have multiple things. So thank you all for bearing with us and thank you for telling us. I'm going to play with it for a second. I think, bear with me. One thing, Tiara, do you mind checking to make sure you're not in here twice?
I think you might be in there 2 times, Tiara, because we tried to get you in. So maybe if you can exit one of them.
Okay.
Or no?
I only see myself in here
One time?
once. Yeah.
Okay. So maybe, no, it's hard to hear. So I don't know. A little closer.
Maybe I'll. It's in the attendee list. I don't see my name.
Okay. All right. So we will navigate the best we can. I'll mute myself and then maybe Tiara, if you're a little bit closer, that'll help.
Okay.
A good question, which is, we had a couple good questions. One is, do you contact a LinkedIn member if you think their profile matches the job description?
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah, I mean, just going back to a lot of my searches, based off of my discussions, will have a good idea in terms of what the manager is looking for. So based off of those keywords, I'm going to enter that information in. I'm going to create a project folder. And as I start reviewing these profiles, I'm going to send, a message, a LinkedIn message to potential candidates saying, hey, you know what, I came across your profile. It appears you have some of the skills that we're looking for our opening. Would you be open to an exploratory phone conversation? So that's pretty, standard. So it's, not uncommon that we might have, 10, 15 openings at a time, and we have all these different folders. And sometimes we also, work with a team, sourcers that are also looking for people. So we're actively reaching out and trying to engage talents.
We have another question. Do the keywords need to be in a specific area in our profile or anywhere?
I think that's a great question. I think if you have them anywhere on your profile, they will pull. And I actually opened up my LinkedIn recruiter program before we started this call, so I don't know if we'll have time, but I'm happy to kind of show you some of those searches. I kind of went in there just to get an idea in terms of, what examples I might be able to share. So let's say in Providence, I enter in a search for somebody that is a business analyst. I would get, let's say, 500 profiles that have that title somewhere on their profile. Once I enter in Access or Tableau, I think I narrowed that down to maybe 11 people in the Providence area that had that words on their profile. So absolutely, I think if you have those keywords, whether it's in the summary, whether it's in your position description or in the skill section, that will come up.
Tiara, I love the thought of you sharing that view. What I'm going to do is pass the magic ball to you as presenter, and then you're going to be able to show your screen.
Okay. So let me pull it up. All right. We have a lot of applications. All right. So can everyone see this?
Yes.
Okay, so this is just an example. I know you spoke earlier about being able to learn about different companies. And this is always something I recommend as well. If you're interested in a company, go to their LinkedIn page. There's so much information. You'll see where people are based geographically. You can also see the schools that they attended, and then you can click in some of that, and you might be able to see people that you're connected to. So I think that's a great tool as well. Let me move out of this screen. All right, so now I'm going to go to LinkedIn Recruiter. All right, so if I'm going to start a new search,
This is so cool that we get that behind the scenes look from a recruiter, what a recruiter does.
I know, I thought this would be really helpful.
This is what the students ask us all the time, and you're giving us the inside tour.
Absolutely. I think this will be really helpful to give an idea of what people can do. So I'm just going to put in here as an example of business. So there's the job title. And then I'm going to go to geographic location. Just say Providence.
And does everybody see that that it's important that they put that you're open to new opportunities, right? That you put your settings that you're open, correct?
That's a really good point, because people will not update that field, and sometimes we will not reach out to somebody because we don't think that person is going to be open to relocation. Or maybe we have other, 10 people who did indicate that they would be, and those are the ones that will most likely reach out to initially. So now if I just put in access, so that gives me 473. But let me break it down a little bit more.
So Tiara, as you break it down, we have some great questions. One is, does using a broader geographic location ever hurt you?
It does not. So sometimes I might start out with Providence, and as you can see, once I entered in access in SQL, it brought that total down to 89 candidates in the area. I could always add, if I wanted to consider, people in Smithfield, Lincoln, Cranston. So we kind of sometimes start in one area and then we'll broaden that search.
So for us as candidates, should we want to have our location be a big city, or if we say we're in a region, does that part matter to you in your search?
I would probably link yourself to a city. So Providence, Boston, Hartford. Because people, I think, initially are going to start where they're at. So we would start with Providence. If we need to keep going further out, we could enter in those additional filters. But we find, the candidate that we're looking for right there in Providence, we might not make our way out.
I have a bunch of great questions in here. Another one is, in terms of search engine, does it matter for the recruiter if my profile is premium or not?
It doesn't matter. We can't tell. So that's something, because we have access to all the profiles, I can't tell if somebody has a premium membership or not. It's just open to everybody that has a recruiter license. So most big companies would have it.
I think you have made a good point about geography, though, because URI is in Kingston, so some people put Kingston on their resume, and it's maybe would behoove them to put Providence or something like that, or a larger city, you think, at least for the ones that are recruiting in there?
Yes. And I mean, we could break it down too. You'll see the different fields. If we're looking for somebody that speaks more than one language, if it's a specific zip code, sometimes if we're doing national searches, we might look at, okay, where's that office and what are the surrounding zip codes, and then enter in all those zip codes around there. But we could break it down years of experience, years at a certain company, military, what companies that they're at. Sometimes if I'm looking for a certain skill set and I know, CBS uses the same technology, I might just focus on talent at CBS.
Another one is, do keyword searches also search attached documents or just the text in the profile?
I'm going to say they just search in the profile. Can you give me an example of attached documents? Would that be like if somebody attached the resume?
Yes.
Yeah. To be honest, I would probably say in most cases, we don't search for attachments. We're just doing a broad review off of that profile. I can't think of a time where I was in a profile and I searched around to look at somebody's resume. If somebody had the skills that I was looking for, they had the experience, I would most likely just reach out to that person and request a copy of the resume.
I love all these questions. So another one is, if we are open, if we put ourselves as open to recruiters, should we also list multiple potential job titles we're open to?
Okay, so I think that is a great question. I just think it depends on what those job titles are, because I don't think you want to narrow yourself down, because every company is different and we all have these, sometimes weird job titles that, no one knows what that is. They wouldn't think, oh, I want to be a methods analyst. So I think that might be, too narrow. I would say you want to make sure that you do indicate that you're open to opportunities. As we're using this tool, I may come across several profiles, and I will review to see if they're open to discussion. Some people will actually set it up where you can't even reach out to them. So we wouldn't, but sometimes it's odd to me that somebody would be on LinkedIn and they wouldn't be open to any, connection.
Now, with locations, should I put the location I physically am or the one that I want to be if I am interested in a move?
I would say you want to put where you physically are, and then I believe there's an option for you to select the location that you're interested in. So as we're doing our searches, if you're interested in relocating to Providence, Rhode Island, your profile will appear in that search.
Do you know if Boston metro area / greater Boston show up if the recruiter just picks Boston?
I believe it is, let's see. I can do Boston, I can do greater Boston are my two options.
Sometimes a job opening will say, talk with the recruiter. We can click on the recruiter picture box. Often we can't talk to the recruiter unless we're connected. Do recruiters open their access to chat via LinkedIn to people doing a job search?
Okay, so I think, let me just make sure I understand this question correctly. So if somebody's doing a search and they see that there's a recruiter associated with an opening, but they can't necessarily connect with that recruiter.
So I believe, and Karen, you can chime in, I believe the question is, are you able to shift how people connect with you according to
Oh, got it.
you being open to everybody at one moment, or you only being open to connections?
Right. I mean, I would say on my profile, I do have it set up where I do get messages, so people can message me. I also have in my profile my email address. If you're interested in career opportunities, here's my email address. And I think sometimes if you go in those profiles, you'll see that in there as well. They might actually have their email address to contact them somewhere in their profile.
Can we put more than one location in our profile?
So if you're here in the New England area, and let's say you're in Providence, you want to be considered in the Boston area as well, I believe you can open that up to include those regions. The other thing I was going to say too, because a lot of times if you're in school, maybe somebody lives in Pennsylvania, and they're attending a URI, and they're coming up in their searches, but maybe they don't want to maybe remain in Rhode Island. So I think it's also just important to update your profile to reflect that as well.
Can I ask a broader question, which is, when do you have a red flag? Like when you look at somebody and look at a profile and you're like, I'm going to pass. What are like 2 or 3 things that you'd say, don't do that on your LinkedIn profile?
I think that's a great question. Everyone has good questions. I would just say, I see a spectrum of profiles. I see profiles that have tons of information, and then I see profiles that have very limited information. Sometimes based off of the searches that we're looking for, it's like finding that purple squirrel. It's a very unique skill set. So sometimes not all that information is going to be on a profile. People might not enter a lot of that information in, but maybe you can get a feel that maybe somebody was in a certain role at a certain company, maybe listed one type of technology on their resume that they could possibly have another one. So we kind of play, a guessing game. And a lot of times when we're doing these searches, we might have maybe a file for this role where we might reach out to 20 connections, and some of them, those profiles again could be really robust. They have everything in there, but maybe they didn't do the work or they're as hands-on as we wanted to for a certain role. And then you might have somebody that has a very bare profile that once you start having those conversations, they say, oh yeah, I have the skill set, I've done this, I've done project management, and it's like, oh, hey, put that on your profile. So I guess what I would probably, recommend is make sure that you fill that out, completely. It's just like a resume as well, where if you see gaps, there could be some questions, or sometimes if somebody has 5 different roles in a short amount of time, and that could be a red flag as well. Sometimes if it's students, maybe they have internships, and you're not able to determine, oh, are these internships or these actual work positions? So I mean, we have to be a little bit more inquisitive, surrounding those types of situations. The other thing I think that's a little odd too that I see not that often, where people do their profile in a third person. So that's one thing I would definitely not ever.
Okay, so use first.
Don't ever do that.
Use I. Okay, because that's helpful, because we as career people a lot of times say, in a resume you write in the third person. So but in LinkedIn you're saying right in the summary section in the first.
Right, and sometimes if I look at somebody's profile and they're writing like, Richard did this and Richard did that, I almost feel like if I reach out to this person and I'm going to reach out to their assistant, is this, who is this?
So I have 2 more questions. If the attachments are seen, should I find a way to put my keywords for my CV and my resume into my bio or my profile?
I I would definitely make a note. So you have your summary section in LinkedIn. And I think it's just important to know, why are you using the tools? Is it for networking? Is it to, search for a new role? I would put that in my summary. And, I would also add, in there that I have additional examples of my work. I have attachments just to maybe bring it to somebody's attention, because I think sometimes when we're looking at so many profiles, it's easy to skip that if it's not right there in front of our face as soon as we read it.
Is there a way to make your profile available to recruiters, but not to everyone? Or should I create a separate one? How can I make sure my employer doesn't know I'm open to recruiters?
I think that's a great question. I don't believe, I'd have to look into this, I don't believe you can create two separate profiles. I think it's associated maybe, unless you maybe have two separate email addresses. I think in terms of, tools, they might catch that those names are the same. And I don't know how that would appear in, a search. I think it might be a little odd sometimes too, that if you're doing a search that you see two different profiles, with the same name. And I just think that's something that
I don't think it's a good idea. I think it's a bad idea to do two profiles. I don't think your employer.
It's confusing.
When you click, I'm open to opportunities, that's not something that your employer is going to investigate on your LinkedIn profile. They will not know that, they will not see it. And even if they did it, you would just say, I don't know, I just clicked it. So I don't think that's something that you need to worry about.
I agree. I echo that. Sarah. I think it's acceptable. I have open to opportunities on my profile. You never know what that opportunity might be. It could be networking, opportunities, and could be several different things.
It could be a business opportunity to the company. So you never know. I would not make two different LinkedIn profiles.
Yeah, I've heard that where people, were maybe concerned about putting their profile, up there, and they were concerned about having that setting in there. But I've never heard a hiring manager, say anything negative about seeing that on a profile.
So we have one of our participants saying you can make open to opportunities only appear to recruiters, and that you would find that within your privacy settings. And then we have a request to say, show us more, Tiara. Let's see what your view is.
Okay. All right. So, So we can do zip code. We can do different languages. If somebody recently joined, if we only want to see view profiles, we can set that up as well. Sometimes if it's a specific name, sometimes a manager will say, hey, I met so-and-so. I don't know if they're maybe looking at this time, but can you maybe do a search and see if they would be open? And a lot of times we get the name, we'll go to LinkedIn, and that's how we initiate some of those conversations. Okay, so we can look at, let's see, fields of study. Let's just put in, I'll put in. You do have, several different, options here. Sometimes I would say the most simple is the way to go, because, a lot of times we're not going to get that granular. If we're looking for somebody with a business degree, we're just going to enter in business. Types of degrees. So if we wanted to enter in certain types of degrees, like a PhD, a master's. Recruiting activity. So let's say, for instance, I'm doing a search and I wanted to see recruiting activity. I can see if any of my other colleagues have reached out to anybody, if they had any types of connections, if they had conversations. So that's something that's really helpful as well.
Another good question, Tiara. What bulk of appointments for positions are made via LinkedIn as opposed to an applicant submitting an application either on the company site or a different online job site?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that again?
So how many applicants are you getting out of LinkedIn? How
Oh,
many
okay.
are you actually seeking? But then also, can you compare what you get from LinkedIn versus they're coming to your site versus a different website, a different job search website?
Yeah. I would say, whenever we have an opening and we decide we're going to post this position, we're going to consider external talents, we'll have that on our website. And then once it's on our website, it automatically gets pulled to LinkedIn. So all our postings are listed. I'll give you an example of a project I've done this past year. It was a global project where we were looking for close to 40 we call boiler and machinery engineers around the world. So we were looking for mechanical, industrial, talent that worked at pulp and paper mills, power generation. It was a very specific skill set. Now we posted those roles online as well. We got resumes, but our team of sources, there were 2 sources working with me on this project, and globally, they reached out to over 6,000 people on LinkedIn to fill 36 openings. So the talent that we did end up, filling with those roles, I would probably say the higher percentage of them came from doing the proactive sourcing on LinkedIn rather than the direct applicants that applied to our website.
I'm asking everyone if there's any other questions because Tiara, you've been giving us a great view of the back-end user and then answering all these awesome questions. Any other questions you want to ask Tiara?
Tiara, I'll ask you, if you do use another source or if people do come through another way, either through the website listing or Indeed or wherever, does a recruiter then go to LinkedIn to look at a profile? So if an applicant comes through,
Great question. I think that's a great question. That's a valid question. I would say as recruiters, we don't typically do that. We're just trained to review profiles, review resumes. I will say a lot of my managers sometimes, if I submit a resume that was submitted online, they might go to LinkedIn and take a look at your profile.
so it should be in good shape regardless.
Absolutely, yes.
However you put it in, you should have a LinkedIn profile because you never know, the recruiter may look at it.
Right. I mean, there is a chance that we could go look at that. But I would say more so it's hiring managers. Once they have somebody on their radar and somebody's maybe submitted a resume, they will go to LinkedIn just to maybe gather more information.
So it could maybe not be the sourcing part, but if you're in the pool that they're looking at, the hiring person at the more direct level may be looking at it. Okay.
Yes, absolutely. I've certainly heard that where maybe I'm working with a hiring manager, we have an opening, we've had 20 people apply, maybe 5 people get submitted. The managers considering those 5, they may, along with reviewing the resume, go to LinkedIn and see what that profile looks like. I've heard sometimes too where, oh, well, somebody had this on their LinkedIn, but they didn't have this on their resume. So you want to make sure that information matches up.
Okay, so that's good advice. Be consistent in both places with the story.
Yes.
I have 4 questions right now. I'm going to go in order. What about marketing my LinkedIn for international opportunities?
I think that's great. I've done international recruiting. If you're open to different locations and you include that in your profile, it will come up in searches. And I think you can reach out. Another thing too, I was going to mention, I do get, several messages, through LinkedIn. I get a lot of messages via email. It's a lot to stay on top of everything. But sometimes I'll just get somebody that will send me a message. Hey, are you hiring? Is my profile maybe a fit? I don't think we always have time, to sit there and evaluate maybe somebody's profile, based off of all our openings. I always, appreciate it when someone says, hey, I noticed you have this opening. I felt I had the skill set. I went online to your website. I applied as well. And it's like, oh, perfect. That's great. Let's have this initial conversation. So it kind of backs up that that proactiveness in terms of going online, exploring the role, and reaching out, with a valid question.
So that actually plays in perfectly to the next question, which was, should I be using it proactively or reactively? Am I using LinkedIn waiting to be discovered by somebody on the back end, or should I be using it as a job application site?
I think you can use it, both ways. I don't think it hurts to be proactive to see what positions, are posted. I think our, openings are online. So once you review it and you look at that opening, you might also see, hey, I also have a few connections here. I might be able to reach out to a couple of my connections to see what they might know, about this role. We also do have an employee referral program as well. For a full-time hire, we'll pay out $2,000. So we have a really robust employee referral program. So if somebody has those connections, that's something that goes a long way as well. I would find that most people I've worked with at FM Global are really open to those conversations. And once they have that initial conversation, maybe they reach out to myself and the hiring manager as well and say, hey, I'm connecting with this person through LinkedIn, here's a copy of the resume. So I think that's a great example of being proactive. And I've had, lots of success during my time with FM Global where sometimes you have to just be patient. And when the timing is right, it's right. Where I've been in touch with somebody, maybe I've had conversations with somebody, maybe they interviewed, maybe they didn't get the role. Maybe a year or even 2 years after that, another opportunity, comes up, and lo and behold, they end up getting that role. That's happened to me a few times.
Tiara, how important are the skills tests for LinkedIn?
The skills test?
Yeah, so I've seen people do them before where they can take a test on LinkedIn that certifies you or that verifies you have a certain level of competency.
Oh, okay. I've actually seen that too. I have not done that test. I think that is a new feature. I will say that could be beneficial. We have not really utilized that in, our recruiting efforts. I know we do our due diligence as we go through the interviewing process, and we probably administer our own, testing as part of the process. So I would say currently we don't utilize it, but it might be something that would be helpful down the road.
If my specific area of expertise is not included on the list, such as ocean engineering, how do you find me? So are there multiple areas if I have a specialized degree that's not in an automatic setting?
I think if you have that on your resume, we will find you. So if I just put in ocean engineering. I mean, that gives me just those two words gives me over 190,000 results.
So you will be found.
Yes. If you have ocean engineering, please put it on your profile.
If there's an area that has a job title somewhere, or that's your degree, certainly put it. And you can also, I suggest that students work backwards from job listings too, to see what the keywords are. So it's not just that you're imagining it. You should look at 10 job listings and say, what are the commonalities here? What are the keywords that they're looking for? And then weave those through your profile. Would you say?
Absolutely. I completely agree with that. You want to get familiar with what, some of those words out there, the terminology, what are those job postings, and, frame that as you're putting your profile together. I have a lot of like tsunami, earthquake engineering, and I'm always, surprised at, the profiles that I'm able to find. And again, I think this goes back to if there's associations that you're connected with, make sure that you include that as well, because I know, not every recruiter has access to LinkedIn Recruiter, but they're trained to do, searches based off of different keywords that can pull those profiles in their direction. So it could be an association, typology, so sometimes I would search maybe groups for, groups that might be relevant to you, whether it's, skills, business associations. You'd be surprised what you can find.
So we are approaching 8 o'clock, and I don't want to take up a lot of your time. I'm going to stay on with Audra for another 20 minutes or so and show our slides, answer questions. Students, you can stay, do whatever you want, but I think we are going to proceed. But Tiara, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm happy to be here tonight. It was nice, something different for me to do.
Is there
Sitting
any
in my house all day?
Is there any? Feel free to stay along with us. Is there anything that you would say? Because I know that you're looking on LinkedIn. In building their LinkedIn profile, what would you say are the things that you would do if you were in school or if you were a student? What are like 2 things you would do?
I would just make sure that you're filling in all information. I would say, whether it's internships, projects that you've worked on, computer programs that you've used, whatever it is, make sure you build that into your profile, because that is, what we're going to use to search, and you can't find it if that information is not in there. You'll also see right now, if you're looking at my screen, where it says, when we're pulling up these profiles, it'll say in there, open to new opportunities or connection. Oh, who is this person connected to? So as we're just even going through this, we can, get a sense of somebody's relationship, with the company, the schools that they've gone to. I would always say, don't, skip on filling in all those details. It might take a lot of time, but I think it'll be worth it in the
end. One question that we get in terms of, because you are saying, try to reach out, expand your network. One question is sometimes it is hard to reach out to people and connect with them if you're not, related to them kind of thing, don't have a circle. So do you think joining industry groups or following, what would you say about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just in preparation for this meeting, I just kind of looked online at some of the group sessions for University of Rhode Island, and there were a lot of groups in there. Maybe you want to look at Rhode Island networking, groups, or there can be some technical groups as well, agile. I mean, some of these technical skills are not easy to find, and sometimes people aren't really out there updating their profile, but maybe they are part of a group, and based off of some of those group relationships, we might be able to relationship or reach out and have some connections. So if you don't have that on your profile as well, I would definitely encourage you to go in there and look at some of the groups and add them. If there's companies that you're interested in, you can also follow those companies. If there's certain, um, um, I would say influencers out there, I guess, as well. You can follow them as well in terms of their content. I would say you can, engage. Sometimes when we're going to maybe events, we'll post, hey, we're attending, this conference. Sometimes if we're attending a job fair at URI, we'll have that listed as well. And if you're following us, you might be able to say, hey, I'm going to that event as well. And it's a great way to be able to set up some time and already have established that relationship.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Yay.
Thank you, everyone, for having me. I hope everyone stays very safe, stay well, enjoy the long holiday weekend. The weather looks beautiful. It's always a pleasure working with you all.
Tara, you can't see it, but on the back end, we've had so many people just saying thank you, really appreciating this employer view, and then understanding how you're looking and going through the candidates. So I'm getting lots of thank yous, and we still have all these people, a lot of good feedback, but also a lot of curiosity about this.
Excellent. I thought that would be really helpful because everyone wants to know, how am I being found, right? So
thank you so much. We are going to stay on another 15 minutes or so with the students, but we are so grateful to you and to FM Global.
Well, thank you very much. And if you do have any follow-up questions, please do not hesitate to reach out.
Yay. Thank you.
Have a great night. Bye.
Okay, should we move to the next slide? Okay, that's me.
I just want to jump in 1 second because I get to see the back end of this, and I've seen a lot of great questions. Karen, I just wanted to be respectful of Tiara's time. We had told her we would have her talk for about 10 minutes or so. And there's a lot of great questions about how important are endorsements and the skill sets. I think that was a big one that it sounded like everything is viewable for that employer. And I appreciate what Tiara had said, which was that she might not go and search for everybody and kind of go in depth, but on the other side, the hiring manager may be doing that. And I think that was a really important piece to know, okay, this has many layers and many dynamics to it. I'm trying to look and see if there was anything else we could kind of offer off the top of our heads. But I think one of the things is how things get weighted. And what you could see on her end was that she can prioritize what she searches for first. So I think that's kind of answers the question of weight. It's which one does she want to have the answer to? How does she start to vet her people? Let me transition back to you, Kara.
Oh no, this is good. This is good. And Audra can see the questions, so she'll scream them out. If you have any more, we'll go through this part really quickly. Tiara was nice enough to say if we have any real pressing questions, we can, ask her from the employer side, which is very, very nice of her. And if you have, look through FM Global, if you have an interest in the company, connect with Tiara. It is okay to connect with recruiters, right? I mean, we hear that all the time. And so she's on the call, she has 6,000 connections. You can say, and when you connect with her, you were great, you were on the call. I think, I'd love to connect with you. I would say that she would do it. I can't guarantee it, but I think she would. So those are the kinds of things that you should capitalize on. Okay.
6,000 is crazy.
No, you don't.
I know a couple people around 1,000, but like she said, she has so much of that international touch. So I think that makes a big difference. And actually, Kara, the next question I think falls right into your wheelhouse, which is, would you recommend posting conference presentations in PDFs on your LinkedIn?
I wouldn't go crazy with it. I would select the ones that are the most impressive, or the ones that you think that are the best fit for your field, because um, especially maybe a PhD or a master's candidate who's asking this question, as you get up layers in terms of, away from the sourcing part, but if you're in the running, the people that are going to be interviewing you are going to look at your LinkedIn profile, and they will go to things like really investigating those sorts of things. Certainly also if you're part of a group, they would go there and look at it. So I think you need to be judicious. I think you need to use discretion, but I would say if it's a really great, impressive organization or a really great placement, I would include it. Maximizing your profile, that's really what you're going to do, is the profile checklist. And I'll go quickly. Put your first and last name. If it's John Smith, put your middle name or middle initial. If you're a PhD candidate or MS candidate, you can add that. That would differentiate you too. You need a profile photo of just you, friendly, professional. Employers gravitate towards profiles showing approachable hires. So you don't have to be giggling or laughing, but not frowning, not dour, not, they've done these studies where it shows profiles with photos get 21% times, 21 times more views and 36 times more messages. So what I see sometimes when I look at my students is that they have set the privacy settings so that we can't see their photo. It's really important to be able to see your photo. So make sure you go through it. We always tell you to be so careful on other social media, like LinkedIn, Facebook and, Instagram and all these other things, to be careful with privacy. Here, you need to not be. And then there is an opportunity, as you saw in my previous photo in TR, is that you can put a background photo. I think that can be a great thing to show something about you. As Tiara was saying, show a little bit about something about you, that's relevant. But that's not offensive or not jarring or things like that. Other things, we went over this with Tiara on the location. Join the industry you intend. The tagline is really important. That can capture people's attention. The one thing I do want to just pause here quickly is say that LinkedIn, so if you see your name, underneath your name is what it says about you, you need to put something in there affirmatively. You need to go in and change it, because LinkedIn will automatically default to your last position, to your first job title. So if it says graduate teaching assistant, it will default to that. So if you instead want to say something like ocean engineering researcher, that would be a great title for yourself, because that would give me some background as to what you are, rather than, everybody is a graduate teaching assistant. So go in and do that. Use the keywords, we talked about that. And then conveying your professional. You don't have to say I'm a PhD student. You can say I'm a PhD research or cell biology specialist, data scientist. Talk about what are you doing. Next one, that's a profile of somebody who actually spoke to 2 weeks ago on a different LinkedIn thing. She got a job. So this is hers. I just thought I'd show you that she's a human resources specialist. So her kind of upbeat background and cheery face, I think, looks really great. Actually, if you can go back to that slide, I did find something that says profile headline and recent job search title are heavily weighted in a search algorithm. So I don't know that that's true or not if you're doing a separate search, but this is what I read, so I put it there. So it's important to put the things that you want to know. The next slide. So quickly, LinkedIn lets you complete a summary about yourself, and I think you should do it. Describe what you want to do, use the keywords from the job listings, use those skills, the core competencies, put them in there. What Tiara said is your experience section. Don't just put, I'm a graduate teaching assistant or a researcher, or whatever it is. Describe what you're doing, and not just the task, any achievements that you've done. Put it in there just like you would on your CV or your resume. Your education, your skills, and then because of the keyword searches that Tiara was talking about, put in courses that are relevant, not just I took algebra, or calculus that everybody takes, but ones that shows that you have an advanced skill that may not show up somewhere else. So that if you took a course in a certain type of engineering or a certain type of field that may not be in your experience, it can come out there. Awards. And the question about publications, yes, absolutely. Making sure your profile is public, using the keywords, and then updating your profile. I wrote down what Tiara said about staying fresh. Really important that your profile be fresh and up to date and current along with your CV or resume.
All right, so really what I wanted to share is kind of one big thing. Once again, I'm Audra Lavoie. I apparently don't have static anymore, so that's great. Too many things going on. But the big one thing I want to show, I think we've talked well about this idea of connecting to others and really expanding this. This is an opportunity to join those groups Tiara was mentioning. She looks to groups to see if she can find some candidates. So I think these were really important parts. The thing that I'm going to show you, so I'm going to show you the one thing that I think is really important that I wind up teaching people about, and I want to show it to you, and then we'll open up for final questions. So when I'm working with somebody and we're talking about connecting, the thing that I always want to do is create a warmer connection. So my first start is to look to what I have in common with somebody. For me, being an alumni career advisor and an alum of URI, first thing I want to do is start finding out who are my fellow alumni. So on here, all I did was go to the University of Rhode Island. You can do this for any institution if you've gone to multiple schools. On this side, there is a little box that says alumni in it. And from here, I can start narrowing it down. So the whole idea is if I know there's a company or I know there's an individual or I'm not even sure, but I just want to start understanding something, I have 90,000 people that are potential contacts for me. So Tiara is from FM Global. We're just talking all about them. I can start looking this way. Now, what I did was put in FM Global. There's a bunch of different areas. So I could say, I'm going to look right here where it says FM Global. There are more pages to this. So I can start by saying, okay, URI, we already got it narrowed down to this. Now I'm looking at who's FM Global. And you know what? Maybe there's somebody I know who's already a part of this. If so, I can go to this last one and see how we're connected. I have one contact, but then I have on that second layer, those second connections, I have 58. So that's a pretty good pool. There was somebody asking about international opportunities. So I can look and see, where are people located? Is there anything that is international? This to me is one of my number one things that I look at. It's also really good if I am new to a field and I want to see, what should I be following? So if there's somebody who's advanced or if there's one of my peers, I can look at their profile and start to see what they're involved in. Let's take a real quick look at Wayfair. Right at the bottom, immediately, there are different alumni who work at Wayfair. I can find somebody or narrow it down. And then if I go into their profile, I can see more about what they follow and what their job is like, and I can reach out to them. So the big thing that people ask us when reaching out is, what do I say? What do I do? And what I say to people is, it's a easy connection, just, hi, my name's Audra. I'm a fellow URI alum. I see that you work at FM Global, and I'm really interested in learning more about how you got to the position. Do you have 15 or 20 minutes to talk? So it's being specific and asking for something that is a small ask, and then see if they respond. If not, that's fine. People are always busy. You can always look at somebody else. But this to me is one of my favorite features. It's where I look for alumni. So I'm going to leave that. I'm going to post, or I'm going to share one of the questions, and then anyone else who has any other questions. But a question in our chat is it necessary to put your GPA on your profile if you recently graduated as a PhD?
No.
And actually, I tell people,
unless it's great. If your GPA is great, put it. If your GPA is a high GPA, put it there. If it is not a high GPA, do not put it.
I always say for GPA, it's about your personal identity. So if you identify with being high achieving and you have a high GPA and it's part of your story, if it's something that's really important to you, then it belongs there. Same thing on your resume. For me, if it's not, if this is not a priority for you, then I wouldn't put it on. So we are.
I will say that if you did get any Latin honors or anything like that, you should certainly put those on. So if you got Magna, if you got Summa, if you're in Phi Beta Kappa or anything like that, you should certainly put that on all of this.
And I say the same thing. Any honors definitely go there. They always have a place. So we are 15 minutes past our time. Thank you all so much for joining us today. Tiara, that was a big surprise for us, and I really appreciated seeing the back end of it. I'm glad you all got to see it too. Are there any final questions? Any final comments, Kara?
No, but I think you guys go make great LinkedIn profiles now, so you can connect with people and they'll be impressed, and you can get found and you can find. So go forth.
And we know it's a Tuesday night. Thank you all so much for taking your time and joining us. And Kara and I are always available if you want to talk one-on-one. Take care, everyone.
Bye-bye.